Hello, my crafty friends. Welcome back to the channel. Miss Seashell here. Hope everybody is doing well and staying safe. Thank you for joining me today as I show you what I have created for the hashtag Blues in July. And this series is hosted by Anna Wight. And I have created some cards that I used several methods of mixed media type approach, and I just want to share those with you today. So, what I'm going to first show you is what I used. I used this Canson, it's XL watercolor paper, and it's 140 pounds. So it's a nice grade, and it takes a lot of water, doesn't soak through, and it holds up quite nicely, very nicely. So for the project that I created, I made some cards using this watercolor paper. But the approach that I used was using glimmer mist, and I have these in several colors. This one is in this one's called Tropical Water. This one is called Turquoise. And it doesn't really appear like it looks on the paper as what you're seeing. But it's real beautiful turquoise blues. And then I also used this glimmer mist. It's called Light Blue, and this is by Recollections. And I used this glimmer mist, and these are by Tattered Angels, and I've had these for a while. This one is peacock green, but it comes across as a nice bluish, greenish blue color. I also used this Distress Stain, and this is in, what color is this in? Oh, Faded Jeans. So I used that. And then I also used some of the Ranger, the Alcohol Pearl. And this is in Celestial. And then I used some shimmer mist that I made with some mica powder. And I call it Glamour. But it gives a real beautiful clear but shimmery look finish to what the cards have, and you'll see that. Like I said, I used Oxide ink and Blueprint sketch, and I also have a little container here that's filled with alcohol, and then one I have that is filled with water. So I used those two things, the water and the alcohol, and I applied that onto the card. But I did this in different ways. So let me just show you what I made. So for this first card here, and this almost has like a water, well, it's like not like quite like a watercolor, but almost, if you see it in person, it gives off quite like a oil painting effect. And for this, as you see, it's a little image of, here's a fence and some trees and this background. And how I created this background was using the Distress Oxide. Once I sprayed my paper with the alcohol, I just took this pad and I drug it across the paper. And I really didn't know what type of effect I was going to get until after I did it. And this is what happened. So I got some light colors here. I got some light blues. I got a little bit of darker, sort of a periwinkle blue. And it left some areas open. So those areas that were open was exposed with, just the white paper. And so for this cloud effect, I used some of my stickles in crystal, and I also used this crystal, the Nouveau Crystal Drops. And that's how I got this effect with the fence. And then I used a little bit for the clouds here. And I just opened it up like that, squeezed out a little bit, and then just kind of did a rough, just an approach like this, application. And that's what I came up with. Now for the trees in the background, I used my alcohol ink markers. And I just made some random little cross hatch marks. And then for the fence, I actually used an embossing folder. And I'll show that to you. When the card was still wet, I actually ran it through my Big Shot, but I used this Doris folder here. It's a fence. And that's how I got this image here. Just like that. And I was surprised the way this turned out. I just kind of went into it blindly. And yeah, I'm really pleased with this. It actually, like I said, it almost takes on like a oil painting. So I'm really happy about that. And these cards are like 4 1/4 by 4 1/4. And I left the inside blank. And then I used a die, a square rectangle die, square metal die, I should say. And I cut that out here so I have a little bit of that stitching. So, and then I took one of my blue gel pens, and I made these little marks that look like little birds flying in the background. So that is my first card. And I am tickled about it. So the second card that I made was this one. And again, I used an embossing folder, which was this one. This real pretty butterfly design. And as you can see. And it was the same approach. I just took the Distress Oxide and I just went across the card. Just scraped it across. Sprayed it with the alcohol. Then sprayed it with some water. And then sprayed it with the shimmer. And I did all kind of things to this. And I have a little die that cuts out the word, excuse me, happy birthday. And so I applied that on there and then put some stickles on here. So the approach was the same. And then I outlined the design using my stickles here in a range of blues and some of the same crystal color. So they turned out, beautiful when you see it, when it dries. And it just gives off a real just sparkly color. And then I took some of my Dimensional Magic from Mod Podge. And I filled in here butterflies here. So you see that little glossiness there. So that was my second card, and the same, left that blank. So that was, like I said, the same approach like I did with this one. And I was just a little bit more heavy-handed, I think, with the alcohol ink markers as well. But I love the way that turned out. For my third card, this one, again, all of these cards that I made that I'm going to be showing you, I used an embossing effect. So for the third card, I love this paisley design here. And this is the folder that I use for that one. And it's really gorgeous. And so I did the same thing. I sprayed. Well, no, this card actually just did random sprays with all of the glimmer mist. And I just did random just sprays. And I dried it, and then I applied another spray on top of that. So these are just layers of colors. And then I used some of the Crystal Nouveau drops of the, actually of the white here. And I just went around where the little dots are and just enhanced some of the areas. Then used some of the blue, this one, to dot in certain areas here. So same approach for embossing. Love it. My fourth card, I used another embossing folder, and I think I got this one. I think this is a diamond press. I believe it is. I don't have the name of this one, but I used this portion here, this strip here, or this design, and then the flowers. And that's what I use for this card. And same thing, just took my sprays, took the oxide, just went across it, and then went back over it with the stickles. And so this one I ran through, and so this is the design you see here, just like that. So I was experimenting. I really didn't know what I was going to get, and so I just went with it and just used, everything that I showed you just randomly. And so that one's blank as well. Now for my last card, this one was just a little bit different because I used different methods on this one. But the background of this card, same approach with the sprays and, everything else. And then while it was wet, I used this little mini Sizzix folder. It's Tim Holtz. And this is the mini bricks. And I love it. I love it. And the thing about with this die, these are not dies, but this type of embossing folder, your paper has to be actually a little moist in order for you to get the raised image. So you can see that, what I used in the background like that for the bricks. And that's all in blue. And then I have this stamp here. It's a clear stamp of this little trellis with the little tulips. And I colored those in with my alcohol ink markers. I have a little bluebird here sitting on the windowsill. And this little potted plant with a little blue pot. And for the window, I have a Sizzix die. No, I think this is Spellbinders. And I cut that out in this metallic sorry about that. This is metallic paper I cut out on this little window frame. And then in the back, I just used some yellow well, actually not cardstock. It's just yellow, or what am I trying to say here? My Copic marker. Oh, I'm getting a brain fart. Anyway, I just colored some white cardstock so that I could make it look like it was, the inside of the house, the window here. Okay, so I layered that on top of the bricks. And I really like the way this turned out. Really simple and pretty, and left that blank too. So the takeaway from the whole project is I used all my shimmer sprays that I have in blue and some in green, my stickles, alcohol, my shimmer in white, what's called glamour, and alcohol and water spray bottles, and then just various embossing folders. So I wanted to utilize a lot of these folders that I have, and I just thought that it was just fun to experiment, and then using the distress oxide too. So that is my project for the hashtag Blues in July. And again, it's hosted by Anna Wight. And I will also be posting these pictures on my Instagram. So I'll put that information in the description box, so you can go and check that out. So, yep, really happy with the way these turned out. So if you got any questions or any, any way that, anything that you want to add about, how their approach was, just, hit me up. So thank you for joining me today, and I will see you guys again in another video. Take care, everyone. Bye-bye.